Welcome, loved ones. It's your guy, Seth Garubaxu with Makers Bar Networking. Glad to be here today. So blessed and privileged to have Samir Karande with us here today. He is the CEO, CTO, and founder of 3 different companies. He lives in New York City with his wife, 2 kids, and Labradoodle. Samir's organization is, he is the founder and CEO of zOpt.ai, and we're so pleased to have him. I would love for you to make him feel welcome. Samir, thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
Thank you, Seth, for having me here. It's a pleasure. I just wanted to give heads up to all the listeners. This topic is so close to my heart and my puppy's heart too. He might have opinions time to time as we are getting into it. And if he says something inappropriate, apologies in advance.
if your puppy if your puppy says something inappropriate, we that is great. So we will look for doggy language. What's your puppy's name, Samir?
Puffle.
Puffer?
Puffle. Puffle.
Puffle. Oh, I love that name. How old is your puppy?
He's close to 4 years. Gonna be 4 next month.
Oh, fantastic. I am a dog lover myself, Samir, I must tell you. So we are pleased to have Puffle with us as well today. Samir, again, on behalf of Makers Bar and my puppy, Archie, who's here with us, he's our smaller version. He may not say anything inappropriate. So I'm going to watch for Archie. He has his doggy bone to keep him on the silent mode.
All right.
Fantastic. So, Samir, if you don't mind, you live currently in New York City, correct?
Yeah.
How long have you resided in New York City?
Been what? More than 6 years now.
More than 6 years now?
Yeah.
And in New York City, is that by way of another state where you're transplanted to New York?
Yeah, I moved around. So I used to live in different continent before moving to New York. So I was in India and I lived there for little over 10 years. And before that, I was in Boston. So yeah, I like traveling and changing bases. So kind of fun. A lot of work though.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I dig it. And your lovely wife and 2 children are also New Yorkians so far, New Yorkers, as we say now.
Yeah, so my daughter is no longer at home. She's in college, so she's staying in Maryland. She's studying at University of Maryland. But yeah, rest of us are very much home.
Fantastic. Well, Samir, start us off a little bit. Tell us how you got interested in the company. A little bit about your beginnings. What brought you interest into this area? And if you wouldn't mind, share with us a little bit of with your childhood, how it led into the beginnings of your company. Because I see that you've worked for AWS and you've had more than 5 years with AWS. But in some of the growth of where you're at now, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with the audience.
Absolutely. By the way, I should have called it out. The company is called zOpt,
Z.
and yeah, I spelled as ZOPT. So,
Fantastic.
so I'll be referring to zOpt. So don't be alarmed saying that I'm talking about a different company. No, this is how we pronounce our company. So coming back to your question, uh, I this is my third startup, as you said, right? And you have to have enough conviction, enough know-how before you get into the startup journey. Startups are fantastic, very interesting, very sexy, but it's not for faint-hearted. So it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of grunt work, and unless you're fully sold to that idea, fully bought into that space, fully convinced, it's difficult to make it big, make it successful. So for me, I was fortunate. I worked in cloud, public cloud, for over 15 years now, and if you look at it, public cloud, AWS started in 2006, so I wasn't too far behind. So I worked as customer of cloud. I worked as ISV partner. I worked as within the cloud company, worked with AWS as you rightly called out, and I could touch the elephant in different sites and could get the feel for what it means for different personas when they're using cloud. And what has happened is when I was working with AWS, I was fortunate to see AWS working like a rocket ship. When I joined, it was probably 10 billion in revenue, and when I left, it was probably 60 billion in revenue in just
Oh,
five
that's
five
amazing.
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was responsible for a few hundred customers, large part of AWS revenue. I could work with more than 400, 500 customers firsthand, and I could see how they are loving cloud, how they're adopting, what that they're struggling with, and what is that they are getting the value, what is that they are not getting the value. And with that insight, first-hand experience, me, my partner, both of us worked at AWS, along with few of our team members who have also worked at AWS. We could use our first-hand knowledge and the conviction to build something that is going to be helpful for the customers. So it is uh, the meditation of 15 years that has led to this vision of what needs to be done for making this place a better place for customers so that they can get better ROI out of cloud. So that's what we do at Sia.
Now, if you don't mind me following up on that, for some of our audience who's interested in technology, and then those who are looking toward your example, would you mind a little clarity for of the understanding cloud? The operation of a cloud is for what purpose?
Okay, you can go to the very basics, and I hope the advanced users don't go away from the video when I do that. So if you roll back not very long ago, but let's say 20 years ago, it was very common that if you want to run anything uh, on software, you would go buy some computers, buy some networking switches, routers, put together a small lab in your home, in your office. You can rent space from a data center provider, and you can run your operations from there. And large companies like, for example, Yahoo started in this exact same way. This process is clunky, and or I can use analogy, right? You can buy a car, or you can just get into Uber for a ride. So if you have to buy a car, you have to plan, you have to select car, you have to commit to that car for a few years. You have to probably take a mortgage or loan and go for that. Whereas Uber, you can just book a ride. Let's say you are traveling alone, you can book a small car. You have few friends, or you are traveling to the airport with a lot of luggage. You can get into a bigger car, right? So you have all those flexibilities. So cloud and the older on-premise world is exactly the same thing. Rather than owning the car, you can just rent it for the ride, and you can ride it for a minute, an hour, a month, or a year. And so you have three models in car ownership, right? So owning a car, Uber ride, and something in between, that is leasing a car, where you're committing for a few years, but you're not owning the car. So cloud works in the exact same manner, where it provides you a Uber kind of ride. It gives you a leasing capacity, but you are not owning the car. So that's the analogy.
And so the cloud, I know some people have asked this before, and we're going to come back to some of the other areas. Cloud, there is a great deal of security. I think that's what some people in conversations I've had. There is still security in the usage of a cloud, correct? Or is that a novice question on my behalf?
No, so security for every system has been a priority, whether it's a cloud or on-premise. And what happens with cloud is you have been given a lot more choices,
Oh, okay.
and
I didn't know
that
that.
comes with the responsibility. For example, going back to again Uber, owning a car model, your security considerations for your own personal car are different than when you're riding in Uber. So Uber is going to provide certain security measures, and you might
Oh,
have to take certain security measures on your own, right?
that's a
Depending on
great,
what time
that's a
of the day,
fantastic.
where you are traveling, and those kind of things, right? You may do different things from the security perspective when you're riding your own car, right? So cloud world security is different, but it's not that the other world does not have security needs or this one has more or less. It's different, right? And people have to adapt to it, and that's where one can run the business securely.
And so that does answer that. In getting to the the level that you're at with zOpt, tell me about your early career. Give us a little insight to your early career and how you got to doing that.
How do I get to do zOpt, you mean?
To zOpt, the creation of zOpt.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, I've been in the industry for a few decades. I was fortunate enough to get started and work with the innovators and pioneers in the industry. I was involved with first ever B2B e-commerce platform, first ever voice translation, first ever voice enabled telco grade platform. Uh, so I could work with lots of pioneers in the industry. I worked with the fastest database in the world, saw it taking shape. I also did two of my other startups before this startup, so I could touch and feel the tech world from different aspects. I have had my fair share of successes and failures. I was also part of a successful IPO where I was a part of the company for a while and could contribute to in my limited capacity for that successful IPO. Uh, I told you about the AWS ride I had, right? It's
Yes,
phenomenal. Consider any example where somebody has gotten from $10 billion to $60 billion in 5 years in revenue, right? I'm not talking about the valuation revenue. Uh, you have to be really lucky to be at the right place, right time. And I have had my stars aligned at least sometimes in the career. And once you go through that crazy neck break speed ride, it opens you up for different priorities or different opportunities. And you start looking at the same world with different lens. And you might want to do something in a different way, which others may not think it's appropriate or is the right thing to do because you are you are wired differently at that point. And I think I was fortunate is one is I think somebody said it. Success is a combination of hard work and luck, right?
that's right.
So you have
Yes.
to be lucky so that you are there at the right time, right place. You can't plan it all the time.
So would you say some of the luck has to do with a sense, a clear sense of your goal where you want to take things, or is luck sometimes that you've been preparing because you have an inclination of your direction, but it might not be that clear, and so luck helps to provide a light to the direction you're going to go?
Well, nobody has crystal ball, right? So
We
if let's
wish.
yeah, if you're to pick a company which is going to have the crazy ride, what I told you about AWS ride, uh, if I had to choose a company tomorrow, which company should I join? Who's gonna give me that kind of crazy ride, right? A large revenue base and growing 5x, 6x in 5 years with that large revenue base. So I think you can't plan for those things. I remember one of our sales leaders who was hired at AWS, he said he just joined in. That was his first day, and he said, I talked to a few of you, and you are not happy that you're growing only 45% year on year. And I come from the world where we were growing at 5% year on year, and we were very happy.
Mm.
So see the difference in the lookout, right?
Absolutely.
And he
Absolutely.
said, I have so much to unlearn. And but once you are clued into that ecosystem, you think that's normal, right? So yeah, I think I'm getting into the preaching mode. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So, zOpt, what are some of the product lines of zOpt?
I wish we would have more product lines. Right now, it's a young startup. We have only one product. So I talked about me, my core team had opportunity to work with hundreds of AWS customers, cloud customers, and see their pain points, see their struggles firsthand. So what we have figured out is there are everybody has a goal when they're getting into cloud, onboarding cloud. Uh, if you don't have a goal when you're onboarding cloud, you're probably following the crowd. This is where everybody's going, and let me also go and adopt cloud. Most of the customers, they have goals saying that I'm moving from X to Y, or I'm starting a new business and I'm getting into cloud. What does it mean? I have to get a reliability, availability, performance, security, at what price point? And what happens is you get started and your business is growing at a phenomenal pace. Your demand patterns are changing, your seasonalities are changing, you are throwing in more and more software components into your mix. So you are no longer the same company what you used to be 6 months ago, 1 year ago. The cloud is also innovating at a rapid pace. I'll give you a simple example, right? The first ever service that AWS launched, or how the cloud was born, right? It's called S3, Simple Storage Service. So I'm sure you have used Dropbox, right? So
Yes.
S3 is like Dropbox. Dropbox is built on top of S3, right? It's a public case study. Uh, so S3 was the first service. It used to have only one feature, right? You can store something and pull it out, and it's a cloud storage, iCloud or Dropbox or whatever else you can compare it to. Now, S3 has evolved in last 5 7 years, where from three kinds of storages, it has evolved into a dozen different storages. Now you have to also choose which is the right storage for me, because you could, again, going back to the car example, right? You could get a V8 uh, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds car, or you can get a pickup truck, or you can get a SUV, right? It's gonna give you a different performance, different experience, different kind of efficiency. So you will have to pick and choose what is that you need, and that choice has become harder because customers are evolving very fast, cloud is innovating very fast, and what we are doing is we are helping customers stay true to what initial objective they have started with. How do I get better ROI, returns of investment, from my cloud investment? That means I have to improve my performance, I have to improve my reliability, I have to improve my security, I have to get I have to keep on clearing up the cloud debt that I have been accumulating, and I have to do all this at lower price point. So that's why we call ourselves as cloud optimization platform.
Okay.
The
zOpt.
Yeah, we also call it as automated cloud optimization platform, because doing all these changes could mean significant work, and we allow our customers to do a lot of things with few mouse clicks. So all the features or the advantages I talked about, we allow customers to implement them. One is analyze it, assess it, uh, recommend what needs to change, and fourth is implement it, right? So all that entire flow is automated with zOpt, and that's how we deliver a better value to the customers from their cloud investments.
So would it be too simplistic of me to describe one of your main product lines as cloud optimization?
That's the only product line we have.
Okay. Okay. And or now for personalized use, I guess some of your what your needs might be in optimization is depending on if you're a smaller startup or a larger startup. Is that definitely impactful in how one would select what needs they would need from what needs they would have from Ziopt?
So zOpt has been designed to work with all customers, whether you're a small customer or larger customer. Obviously, if you're a smaller customer, your cloud footprint is going to be limited. The number of cloud services you're consuming could be much smaller than more evolved or larger customer. You may have two, three, five cloud accounts, whereas the larger customer could have hundreds of them. So you can keep on multiplying the complexity access for the larger customers. So the way it works for larger customers, it works equally beautifully for the smaller customer. And that's so I'll give you my punchline, what I use, right? If let's say you are super rich, right? $1 million could be a small pocket change for you. But if you are not that super rich, $1,000 might be very valuable for you. If you are living hand to mouth, if you're in, let's say, dorm, right? Maybe $10, $20, $100 could be very valuable to you, right? So
Yes.
what is important, what is significant saving of money or getting a better ROI could change customer to customer. I'm a small garage startup and saving $500 could be very meaningful for me. I'm a big Apple, Microsoft, Google kind of company, right? $1 billion, okay, fine. Let's put it on the back priority, right? Back burner. So things are different, but if you are getting a significant, what is significant is relative, but if you're getting a significant improvement in your cost profile, this is very meaningful for our customers. It gets even better that when for any tech company, your largest cost is people, second largest cost is cloud. When you reduce your cloud spend, when you optimize your cloud spend, you're improving your gross margins, you're improving your unit economics, you're improving your competitive advantages, you're improving valuation for your company because it is some way linked to the unit economics, gross margins kind of numbers, and it's a multiplier of that. So you get so much better off. You're so much better off when you do that. And that's exactly what we are delivering for our customers. And our customers love us for doing that.
What were some of the challenges to getting to this place when you began the company? What were some of the challenges you faced just to get to this stage?
So, see, startups are challenging, right? This space is even more challenging because one, cloud is innovating at very rapid pace, right? So you have to keep up and stay updated. Otherwise, you're always in the catch-up game. Second, this space, since it has so cloud, if you combine three public clouds, we are talking about close to uh, 4 million plus customers, 4 million businesses. Those many customers are there on public cloud. There are lots of other service providers who could be consulting company like Accentures and Infosys of the world. They could be software product companies, and we also saw our customers saying, "Oh, why do I work with you when the other company says they're gonna save 75% of my cost, right?" And I would say, "Okay, sure. Why don't you go and work with them?" But what happens is, let's say I'm good with giving analogies, right? Making points simpler. So let's say you go to a personal trainer saying that I want to lose weight. Can you help me? The personal trainer says, sure, let's start with chopping off your limbs. And that's 10%, right? Now,
So we take off and
technically
we
you have
chop
lost
off
weight.
an arm.
Yeah, technically you have lost weight, right? So, living living aside the lighter side of it, but what happens is whenever you are optimizing anything, you have to be sure that it is not going to hound you back,
Yes.
right? It is going to work for you not only for today or yesterday. It is going to work for you for, let's say, your last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months of seasonalities. You have enough precautions taken where when the next peak hits you, it's not gonna crash, right? You're not gonna be gasping for, oh, give me more oxygen, right? Give me more juice. It has to work without any side effects. That's the beauty. So we are the only ones who give you performance guarantee when we are
Oh.
optimizing for you, right? So otherwise, you're like that example, right? Chop off the limbs, and that's your.
That way,
You
it's a
don't
quick
want
way.
you don't want to be in that situation. You want to do the things in the right way. And see, when I use that analogy, the point hits very hard, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
otherwise, uh, I can come back and say, you know what, Seth, work with me. I will give you 50% cost savings tomorrow, right? But
Yes.
a week from now, you might be dead because your system may not function. Okay.
Well, I
Now
would
I
have
don't
no
do the second
limbs. I'd
line,
have no limbs. I'd have no
right?
limbs. I'd be
I don't
20
say the
pounds
second
lighter.
line, and you assume what you wanted to hear, right? So what we are bringing in is we are bringing in the performance guarantee that you get the better value, right? Not the side effects. And when
Oh, I
you want
like
to do
that.
performance guarantee, you have to do a deeper cut. You have to be a lot more surgical. You can't use sledgehammer, right? You have to use surgical tools. So that's what we do. And this is something it takes time for customer to understand. I'll give you another example, right? And this is very common, depending on who you talk to in the customer persona. You can go and hire a person, right, in your DevOps team or FinOps team, and let's say that person is going to cost you X, right? Now, my logic is I hire this person. If that person is helping me optimize my cloud and giving me more than X, that's a good investment. And I was having a discussion with a large uh, listed company CTO of that company, and he said, "Oh yeah, we were doing this, and it was working beautifully for us." And uh, so he gave me 2 minutes spill on that. I asked him one question: do you remember one instance where this person made a mistake,
That's a very good question.
right? And then we had another 10 minutes of conversation where he walked me through the war room situation they had to get through because this person did something, their production system went down, and then everybody stayed up for 3 nights, and lots of customer calls they had to handle, and all the not so nice things that follow, right? So one such situation wipes out all your gains that you have had for last quarter, 2 quarters, a year. You take a hit on brand reputation, you take hit on the CSAT, CX, the customer experience, and so on. So that is why this has to be a surgical operation, and that is what we provide. I think I went sideways, but probably I answered your question
You did.
partially. Okay.
Well, actually, the analogies, even with the precision of chopping off limbs, definitely helped
That's
out.
not very precise. That's not very precise.
I'm understanding, Samir, that what separates zOpt is offering the guarantee, the precision guarantee. Am I understand that's some of the things that has zOpt stand out amongst some of your competitors? Would I be
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I referred to it somewhere, but maybe I should elaborate that on that. Uh, So everybody knows about tech debt, right? You're using some older Windows version or Oracle version or older hardware which is out of support, and you can't even get the patches, and security threats cannot be handled on that and things like that. So all of us who have spent a few decades in the industry have gone through that cycle. Now, the older days, you would see the new version of operating system or the software product or the hardware would come in every 2, 3, 4 years. With cloud, it happens every 6 months, if not sooner. So your cloud debt starts accumulating much faster. In the tech debt, you would wait for 3, 4, 5 years before you say, "Oh, my system is old, I need a refresh." In cloud world, if you haven't changed your systems in a year's time, you're already running maybe a generation or two generations older systems. And we are talking about hardware, software, classes of services, how it secure, how it talks to the network, how it can interface with the peripheral systems, right? All those problems. And who can identify the cloud debt? Because you see, you're in the rocket ship. The cloud rocket ship is moving very, very fast. How do you compare what was my last snapshot of cloud and what is my current state? And doing it at that speed and making the right changes, again, not chopping off the limbs, right? Making the right changes requires a very, very different approach. And most of the people are not even talking, thinking about cloud debt. And we are probably, I hope I'm wrong, but we are probably the only ones who say we help you retire cloud debt.
Okay.
Not only identify the cloud debt, right, but automated remediation for removal of cloud debt. Now think about that, right? And that helps you take that extra pounds of your body weight, help you run faster, be leaner, meaner, right? Feel more energetic, right? So all those advantages come with it. So how do you become better version of yourself? That's what debt retirement is. And that's what we do, and probably we are the only ones who do it.
When you say we, what's your staff size? How is your staff?
Oh, we are very lean and mean company. We have all the folks who are working with us have long successful careers. More than half of the team is ex-AWS, and it's not only me who's crazy enough to let go a very cushy, well-paying job and jump into unknown of startup, right? So there were a few others who worked with me, and I'm fortunate that they took the plunge with me. So probably they believed in what I'm thinking of doing, and now that we are in it together, they are still going strong. So I think we are marching on the right path. So we are still small company. We would stay small. I think there is a lot more that can be done with a smaller team than getting getting a large army.
I, I like that. I think there's something to be said, and I noticed in some of your notes, there's a personalized touch in maintaining a smaller staff, not only in startups but in doing such a larger role. So I definitely get that. So in being a personalized company in this way, what do you do to cultivate an environment with your staff? What kind of cultural environment do you cultivate between your staff? So, how do you maintain connection to your staff? How do you get them to add personal touch? Are there ways you feel you come in and you want to nurture an environment of here's what we do best and here's how I want you to proceed? How does
Mhm.
that work for you to build your environment with your staff and yourself?
Yeah, so we are we are remote only company. We do not
Okay.
have a physical office because everybody's at different location. We are already at, I think, five different locations with a small team, and everybody's pretty much working from home. We get together time to time in person. Virtually, it happens very frequently. I think COVID has taught us a lot on how to
I
deal with the
noticed.
virtual world and remote teams. The good thing is, I have been in the global roles where I have had teams for, I think, more than a decade, where I had teams in multiple continents, multiple time zones. So, working with different cultures, with different time zones, uh, I have had a good hang of it already. So, that probably has helped. But what drives us is, see, when you have more than half the team coming from AWS, uh, customer centricity has to be there. Customer obsession has to be there, right? Earn trust is second most important leadership principle of AWS, so that has to be there. With focus on how do we deliver value for the customers. And I'll give you a couple of examples, right? And we just launched them as our public case studies. So I can talk about them. So we are working with a company. It's called Kiddo Enterprise. What they do is they provide packaged curriculum for starting a school in
Oh
rural
wow.
areas in India for underprivileged children. Now, you could be running the school, but if you're starting a school, how do you set curriculum, right? How do you do the assessment? How do you put together the infrastructure in the right way, right? So everybody struggles through that. So they provide you a template where a school can say, point A to point B or point A to point Z, right? All of that is defined for you. You just start walking that path, right? So it's like, again, the personal trainer who walks you through the journey because they have worked with lots of customers. And this company has helped set up more than 800 schools already,
Oh wow. That's
right?
extremely incredible.
And they are on AWS, and we could help optimize their AWS spend significantly, right? Uh, Now, I don't know if we have published numbers or not, so I'm not talking about the numbers, but it was a very significant saving for them. And see, if you are doing something for betterment of the world, right? They are also going to look for somebody to help them and allow them to run faster. So we could play a part in their journey where they are helping the world and we could help them run faster, right? So that feels very nice that we are helping a cause. Second company is uh, LinkedIn kind of solution for nonprofits. It's called Neki, and Neki is the good deed in Sanskrit. So they are helping a bunch of nonprofits to get more volunteers, devote or volunteer more hours for causes, right? Also do the fundraising, and we could impact Neki and I think those are the published numbers. Probably we have helped them save their AWS spend by 30 to 40% of the
14% or 40%.
between 30 and 40, 30 and 40%. I don't have the exact number in front of me. So they could help, or we could help them run better. We could help them run faster, right? And they are making this world a better place. We are working with another company which makes applications for mobile applications for uh, visually impaired people. So we are helping them uh, do better in their business, right? So that they can go out and help more such people who are qualified for their application or who are in need for their application. So I think it it makes us feel so much better. We can sleep better at night, saying that we are doing our part to make this world better, right? Successful, unsuccessful, business, revenue, profit, all that is there, right? But doing these good things, I think that makes you feel better
And
inside.
fulfilled.
Well,
Fulfilled is what I,
yeah, absolutely.
and that brings up a couple of different questions. If you don't mind, if I backtrack just a little bit on that. Very immediately, I'm struck by the application for visually impaired people. Would you please elaborate on that? That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so that's not a public case study yet, so I won't be able to.
Oh, okay. You have to chop off
I
my
don't know,
limb.
ask them whether it's okay or not, but probably we'll launch that as a public case study in a few weeks.
Okay. And then the school application, that also, and giving that back, I'm very much one that is inclusive of spirituality. To me, plays a role in our professions and our vocations, whatever that might be for the individual.
Mhm.
How does that play a role in how, because you have a connection humanly to want to serve and do important parts of that, but how would you explain that fitting a role into how you conduct your business?
Well, again, changing the topic, it's no longer going to be technical discussion.
That's okay.
Risk of it, right? Everybody has certain things which gives them that nirvana, right? Which gets them into that uh, uh, ethereal zone, right? So I'm a motorcycle rider, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
What kind of motorcycle?
All right, wonderful. One more thing common. So getting wind in your face, right? That is something that could liberate you. So that's something I hang out with a lot of people who are in that mindset. Second is giving back something to the community, whatever you have, right? And it doesn't have to be money, right? So, for example, on my part, what I do is I'm associated with a few of mentoring programs or the accelerators where there are lots of budding entrepreneurs and they are somebody's at the idea stage, somebody's at the MVP stage, somebody has raised around, right? And everybody has different asks, and I go out and I help those companies. It's structured mentoring. So somebody who's running that accelerator or that mentoring program defines that 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks kind of structure, and then I get to work with these young companies and participate in their success or growth or maturity, right? Uh, that gives you that inner peace. So it's more about what is that you're contributing back to the society, and
Absolutely.
whatever cause that might be, right? Somebody could go and plant trees, somebody could go and help mentor a startup, right? Or whatever is in between. But I think giving back is something that makes one a better person.
And it fills that place of spiritual connectivity in that sense.
Absolutely.
Would
Yeah.
you say that's also how you foster some of the creativity with your peers and some of your colleagues? That's how that inner desire to give back That's a part of that. Is that some of what fosters the creativity within Zia?
So we have had examples, and we continue to have more of them. Where, and I'll give you something that we did this week, right? So a customer came back and said, you know what, I have, and I'll give you the specifics of that, right? Uh, you know what, I have cloud usage, right? And nobody's telling me how many hours I'm using computers or with the virtual machines in cloud, right? And how many vCPUs I'm using, and how am I getting charged for what the list price is and what the actual payment is. What is the percent changes, right? On a daily basis, hourly basis, and is there a way I can see that my discount rates are changing based on how many hours I'm using, how many vCPUs I'm using, vCPUs virtual CPU, and can you help me understand this part, right? So this discussion we had, I think, 2 days ago, right?
You and
Uh,
your colleagues. You and your colleagues.
no, this was a feedback from our customer,
Okay.
uh, and we had this discussion between us as a team, and we said, okay, so we can provide this. And is it going to be useful for more customers, right? The vote was yes, thumbs up all over. And today, in 48 hours, right, I have seen the first review of that system, and that is getting rolled out in next 48 hours. So that's the kind of innovation, right, that brings in. And again, another principle of AWS is, if you search on AWS innovation, it says 90% of the products and features are based on customers' feedback, because they don't want to build anything which is kind of going tangential, not in line with what their customers are looking for. So we are following the exact same pattern. The example I gave you, uh, we always ask for customers that how this what we have is helping you. What else would you like, right? If you ask them what else, they could be very creative and they could ask for moon. But if you just try and read between the lines, that what is helpful in what you have, right? Where are you struggling, or just observe them use the platform, use the product, and you will understand, oh, you know what, this thing could be fine tuned, right? Maybe there is some rough edge here. And that's how we are innovating, that's how we are growing, and we would continue to be this even when we are a very large company.
With that in mind, where do you see this going 5 years from now? How do you? What's the long-term vision for your company, for your organization?
That's a great question. So it might sound a cliche, but see, cloud optimization has been. I'll I'll give you an analogy, and you can draw parallels, right? Think of AI, right, which
I
was
was just
available
perfect timing.
available for only few players who had infinite resources, infinite manpower, infinite money, and so on, right? And now, what OpenAI and ChatGPTs and other players have done is they have brought it out so that everybody can consume it. It's API away, right? So cloud optimization today is available to larger players who have dedicated FinOps team, who have invested number of years, millions of dollars into this, right? And they are getting the most value of their cloud investment. Whereas the younger companies, smaller companies who cannot do that are struggling. So our vision, and I hope it doesn't take 5 years, 7 years, but it would happen sooner, is liberate cloud optimization, make it available, democratize it for a million plus small customers.
Oh wow!
That's what we are. that's what we are working towards.
Okay, that it's very interesting. You mentioned that's in line with Makersbar's motto as well, creating 1 million leaders. And so
Hmm.
you want to enable 1 million uh, people to have access to cloud optimization.
Absolutely. 1 million companies I'm talking about.
1 million. Now, are those companies, those 1 million companies, are they in particular smaller size mom and pop companies, or are they also the 25-year-old who's moved to Silicon Valley who is looking for a startup? How do you look at those companies that you're looking to offer this to?
Yeah, so if you look at companies' revenue valuation or cloud spend characteristics, it changes based on whether it's enterprise or a tech company and so on, right? So if you just look at companies who are spending up to $2 million a year, those are more than 2 million companies, right? And that includes the mom and pop shops, that includes the garage startups, and that also includes the Series A, B, C funded companies, right? That also includes larger enterprises who have a decent cloud spend, right? They are not the Coca-Colas of the world, right? But they are decent sized companies. Uh, so those are the companies that we want to help, and I can say this with 99.9% confidence that none of these guys are happy with the value they are getting from cloud investment,
Mm,
right? So I have talked to literally probably 1,000 customers myself, and I haven't seen a single customer who's happy paying the cloud cost. The monthly bill for the cloud is not something they enjoy paying for because they think they're not getting enough value for.
okay. So ZOpt offers more value.
zOpt offers them ability to get more value from their cloud investment, right?
And
By
feel that.
optimizing their cloud infrastructure, getting them better performance, scalability, availability at lower cost of ownership. So that's what we do.
And in that, um, you know, I'm glad you brought up AI. How does AI fit into cloud optimization? Is that somewhat a potential threat to companies in the future like ZOP because AI will begin to automate some of the process of cloud optimization? Or are we still a few years off? I was interested when you brought in AI. How does that play a role into companies like yours?
Absolutely, I think AI is a great promise. See, AI is not magic. AI has to be told how to decipher information, and if nobody has answers to those, AI probably doesn't know about it. Uh, I'll give you a simple analogy on how I look at AI. So you can pretty much do things on your own without a computer, right? You want to go
Yes.
from your home to a local Walmart. You have done this 100 times. You know how to navigate. Even with your eyes closed, you can probably do that, right?
Yes.
You want to go to another destination, which is a new destination, right? You are using a system. If you roll back, you might use AAA paper maps. Now you use Google Maps or Apple Maps. Now that is something you are using a rule-based system. I want to go from point A to point B. How do I navigate?
Yes.
Right? Now you want to solve this for a billion people in the world. That is where AI comes in because the complexity, the big data, that goes out of control for a rule-based system.
Yes.
So AI brings in the efficiency for something that is beyond comprehension for a human brain. Uh, but that system has to be trained. So what we are doing is we are always starting with the manual point A to point B, right? Your home to Walmart. Then creating a rule-based system algorithm saying that this is how it has to be worked, right? When you're going from point A to point B, and A and B could be defined at for anything. And then how do you liberate that so that it can work for a very large set of problems? So for everything that we do, we take this approach, and then we are leveraging AI into how we are
Okay,
using.
I see that. Yes, yes.
So, but for incorporating AI, you have to have a very clear definition of the problem and how to get to the solution in your head. And if you don't have that, AI could cost you a ton of money and still not give you output.
So
So
you're seeing AI.
everywhere you have to be surgical, right? That's the
So I get it. And this is a very interesting, different take. So you don't see AI as a threat, it's more a supplement to organizations like yours.
so think of this, right? Uh, there are things which are commodity, there are things which are getting to be commodity, there are things which still require specialized skills. So whatever is on the verge of getting commoditized, that is something that could be a threat by AI, that AI would automate this. And I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, am I going to lose my job, right?
Yes,
But
I hear that a great deal. So I'm curious, how do you see
if
that?
you upskill yourself, right? See, when AI is coming into picture, there would be a million people that would be required to create different AI models. That's a completely new domain that we are creating for ourselves.
AI
So
monitors?
AI models, right? So you have to build those AI models so that whatever is commoditized can be used, right? For example, you use dishwashers and microwaves and washers and dryers, right? You don't even blink your eye for that. So that has been commoditized. Now, if I want to go back and do the laundry that I used to do 100 years ago, right? And that is my only skill, yeah, I'm going to be jobless because everybody's going to laundromat or they have a washer dryer at their home, right? So I think one has to be upskilled. AI is creating lots of jobs. That's one thing, right? AI is bringing in the efficiency, but as it happens with any hype cycle, and we have had number of hype cycles in last, or let's say every 3 4 years there is a hype cycle, right? A lot of VC money gets pumped in, a lot of VC money gets burnt because they did not do a careful evaluation. Then you have few winners that emerge, right? We talked about AWS or Amazon. Amazon is one of the winners who came out of the dot-com era. But how many of those other e-commerce companies did not survive the dot-com burst,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So every era has a hype, right? A lot of people go into that hype cycle. Few winners come out of it, but you have to not be getting carried away, right? There is merit in that technology, but don't think it's going to do everything, from brushing my teeth in the morning to singing me a lullaby in the night, right? No, it's going to do few things better
Yeah.
than what we are used to, right? It is an ongoing process, and it is not going to happen overnight. And it's also going to create a lot more jobs.
I'm curious, some of the jobs that you see in AI, if you don't mind a segue, in creating, because the conversation is AI is going to take away some jobs that people used to do. How, give me a couple examples on how you see AI creating jobs. What type of jobs would those be? Just out of curiosity, because it is a conversational piece that
Mhm.
people have, the citizenry have concern about the reliability. I'm sorry, the leniency we'll have on AI as far as what it's going to be able to do. So I'm curious some of the job areas you see coming in that AI will help create.
Absolutely. So AI is not just ChatGPT. It's not just the chatbot, right? AI has a lot of other applications. So if and we'll use some example from our what we use every day at home, right? You have air conditioner, you have washer dryer, they have uh, AI baked into it, and they sense how much is the load and then how much water to pump in and how many cycles to do so that you are getting less on or low electricity bill, right? Your load could be completed sooner, it could be completed in a better manner. If you have loaded the washer extra, right, it would run for extra longer cycle, things like that. Now, earlier human beings were doing this, and then when AI had to come in, somebody had to analyze this pattern, how to identify these parameters, which parameters change, how a cycle should be executed for washer, and then what changes should I make? And then there are lots of testing that has to go through before you finalize that this is the logic I'm going to use, right? So
Yes.
that is what the job creation is going to be. So for creating that one optimization for a washer cycle, probably hundreds of people have worked on it so that the million washers produced in next 10 years have that intelligence baked in, right? So you're talking about the B2B AI. So how do I do the better customer support? How do I do the predictive workloads? Again, going back to the washer example, right? And as I said, the analogies make it very easy to convey the message. If your washer dies, you call the support, they come, take a look at it, fix it, or ask you to replace it, right? Because it's too old or beyond repair or whatever. Versus those AI models are telling you, oh, your washer is due for service. You know what? The last cycle you ran, something was off in that cycle. That is what is giving you a better customer satisfaction. You are not going to be in a situation where you don't have clothes to wear tomorrow and your washer is broken, right? I'm just making it up, but
That's okay.
uh, but you're not going to be dead in the middle of the road, right? In that manner. Second, it also gives opportunities for cross sell and upsell for those service providers or manufacturers.
That's
They
where the job work.
they can understand the customer's usage pattern while they're doing it, and it is creating a ton of data in the back end. Somebody has to understand that data, make meaningful inferences out of that data. First 10 inferences would be wrong, right? Those inferences should be curated, and then you start deriving, okay, this is what it means, and my next iteration of my AI algorithm is going to have this additional feature, right? But before you do that, you have consumed multiple petabytes of data. Dozen people have worked on analyzing that data. There are 100 reports that were created, right? So you see, there are teams who are working on creating that one simple AI change in a very simple home setting.
So the jobs that are created through AI and its growth and its evolution are more so data entry personnel, people who can examine and analyze the data. Those are some of the jobs that are created by the evolution of AI.
No, so data entry is one part of it, right?
I,
Second
I, I
is,
simplified it.
yeah,
Forgive me, I
yeah. Second is
simplified it,
data
but
science, right?
correct.
Because you have to input the data and start massaging the data, right?
Correct.
Uh, Third is the data analyst, where you are interpreting some results based on certain charts that you are seeing, right? And
Yes.
so there are different stages in the uh, getting from raw data to the inferences. So there are different stages or different roles that are involved.
And so that's where some of the job creation comes in.
Yeah, that's one of the example. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And then looking at that, what was some of the, if you had to think of a book, a mentor, someone that was instrumental in choosing this career path for you, what would that book be? Give me a title of a book, for example, that was instrumental in saying, I'm going down this road. Or the mentor, like I had a mentor, and sometimes people laugh when I say this, but she was my eighth grade social studies teacher, Mrs. Tuttle. Mrs. Tuttle. And I never forget how instrumental she was in getting me to really look at how I think about things and processing my thoughts. So Mrs. Tuttle gave us an assignment, and this was instrumental in me becoming this person I am now. She gave us an assignment. She said to the class, I want you to write an essay on how you would improve the world. And for her giving that to me, I was thinking, well, the way I would do that, I would make sure nothing cost anything. We'd only trade our skills and resources. And so that was my eighth grade thinking mind. And we had to present it, and Mrs. Tuttle said, "Well, Seth, that was very good examination on how you would improve the world." But she questioned me very practically, and it stuck with me in how I process my thought. And this is why she was instrumental in becoming a long-term mentor as well. She said, well, how would I get my salary? And I said, well, you wouldn't need your salary. Why would you need your salary? She said, well, she wanted me to, it wasn't just about the financial aspect. She wanted me to go deeper. Pardon me. So that was instrumental in me thinking, having a person to influence me to think deeper. So she was instrumental to me in the long term, how when working with students and or in conversing with people, she was instrumental in getting me to process my thoughts. Pardon me. Someone like that in your life, someone when you were younger that gave you that one piece of advice, that one sentence, and or a book.
Yeah. So quite a few of those examples. One thing that it's very close to my heart is a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell,
I love that
and
book.
he
Yes.
talks about the 10,000 hour rule.
Yes.
And the debate behind the 10,000 hour rule is very interesting. So, working on something for 10,000 hours not only makes you expert in that domain, but why that 10,000 is a magic number? If you're not good at it, you won't continue for 10,000 hours on something that you're not good, right? So you try out certain things, you say, okay, this is not working for me, or this is not something that I enjoy, or I'm not good at it, right? Be it a game or study or subject or whatever, right? But if you're working 10,000 hours on something, you are probably the expert in that domain. And one has to spend that time, there is no shortcut if you want to be expert. So that is something I see that in every walk of life, and I'm very fortunate that the initial team that I have for zOpt has all spent 10,000 hours on the domain that we are working in.
Wow.
So I think we have proven that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour test, which means we are passionate about this, we are good at it, and we have done our time, we have served our time to be called so-called expert, right? So I think that's one of the quotes that's very close to my heart.
And that was very instrumental as far as the influence.
Yeah.
What would you say to a young person that's in their 20s or 20-year-old in getting invested in a startup? What piece of advice would you offer them?
So you're asking about starting a startup or getting to work with somebody else's startup, right? Because those are two different things. And I can talk about both of them, and I will be very brief on that. If you're working with somebody else's startup, it teaches you so much more because there are no boxes in startup, right? If you're going into a large corporation, you're boxed into a role. In startup, it's a lot more open culture, so you can go and experience sales, marketing, HR, different flavors without really getting boxed into a specific role. So it opens you up for different dimensions of business. Second, if you want to start something of your own, make sure that you are ready to put in 10,000 hours, right?
Oh,
And don't jump into it because you're infatuated, right? But it is going to be a long, demanding, very challenging journey, right? If you're not motivated to continue, then you're better off by doing something else, or find a better problem that you would be more focused on, more interested in, right? Don't jump onto the idea that came first, or you were dreaming about, and then next morning you say, okay, I want to start a company. It requires a lot of groundwork before you commit to it, because it is going to take a few years before your startup sees some level of success. And are you ready for that grunt work? Are you ready to put your head down and do this 24 by 7 job, which does not pay you probably, right? So it's something that one has to think through. And I work with a lot of young founders. As I mentioned, I mentor a bunch of startups, and I see there is greater level of awareness with this younger founders. There are a lot more support groups that are available. They are very well networked, they are well informed, and I think they are much smarter. I i think the younger generation, I consider myself to be a generation older, the younger generation is far smarter than what I was at that age.
that's very interesting. I find it very interesting. I think the exponential rate at which knowledge and information they're getting to have to siphon through definitely gives to them. Toffler talked about the need for us to, and a favorite author of mine, Toffler, the need for us to keep up. And these young people definitely have that ability to some extent. I guess the question, I could have phrased it better in this way. What would you say the skills are needed for, or what would you advise, would you say a young entrepreneur would need to go forward? So, would it be the skill of patience, or to stick to it as far as building this? What would the skills, what would you say would be the strongest skill set an entrepreneur would need to move forward?
I would say three things, right? One is uh, perseverance, commitment, and third is how how much you are aware of this problem domain.
Hmm.
Have you faced the problem yourself? You have lived with people who have been facing this problem, what you're trying to solve. Otherwise, you have arm's length understanding of this problem, right? So you may not be closer to the customer. So if that is the case, maybe you have to spend time with the potential customers or the people who are facing that problem, so that you get closer to the problem domain. You either face the problem yourself or know enough people who have faced that problem, so that you can have a better solution for it. So three things: how much you know about the domain, perseverance, and commitment.
Fantastic. And if you had to give, um, if you were starting over again, would this be your chosen field of profession?
Once you're bugged by a startup, it's very hard to cure anybody.
Mm,
So it's it's uh, it's mostly a chronic problem, right? So you can't take startup out of entrepreneur. You can take the entrepreneur out of startup, but because I think everybody has different definition of what gets them high, what gets them into that zone, right? So one is high energy, second is uh, empowerment to do whatever you want to do, right? Third is ability to do things with constrained resources, so that boosts innovation. And fourth, whatever you're doing, you see the results, good or bad, almost immediately, right? So I think that's something very different than a corporate life. But everybody has a different wiring, right? Everybody's wired differently, so you have to figure out what kind of person you are and then make a choice accordingly.
I really like that. You figure out the person that you are, and then decide. I really appreciate that. Any insight that you want to give into people? I'm sorry, contact information to getting in touch with you at zOpt. Any links and so forth, because we'll also be doing that for ourselves. Would you like to give any insight to contact you and for what purposes?
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Just look me up. That would be the very easy place to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody and everybody, no matter if you're offering help, if you're asking for help, or we want to be a business partner. So all the conversations are welcome.
Fantastic. And I know a couple of people are interested in losing weight. Would they go to zOpt to get some limbs cut off?
I think you have been paying attention to what I'm saying, so I'm impressed.
And I take it both are puppies. They were well behaved for the most part. I didn't hear too
Yeah.
many bad words.
My puppy was saying that if Seth says anything bad to you, I'm gonna jump into the discussion. So I think he did.
Okay, so I will take that I did okay.
Yeah, but Seth, it's
Samir,
been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Samir, truly, I continue to be educated and enjoy my technical conversations myself as a novice to a great degree, but you have educated and informed me. And I'm sure the Makers Bar audience will be informed as well. And I look forward to them reaching out to you and us staying in contact with you. We are really looking forward to continuing to develop a relationship with you. We are honored and extremely blessed to have had you with us today, Samir. I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it was.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Seth. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we at Megaspar really appreciate Samir Karande and his puppy. Uh, we thank you for all the information. Zopt is someone you should be in contact with through Megaspar, our channel, and or Samir on LinkedIn. We are more than happy to spread that information, and we're looking forward to this going out and making new connections. Again, Brother Samir, I thank you and I humbly salute you for the time you took out to spend with us. And again, looking forward to the great things you're going to be doing in the future. And in fact, your mentorship programs, I definitely want us to stay in contact because young people in those mentorship programs are very close to my heart as well. So thank you, brother. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of Makers Bar Studios, Seth Garubax would like to thank everyone who joined us today. Remember, one love, family. Help, reach out, come and be present and exist. Chase your dreams. They are there for the reaching. Everyone have a great day. We're looking forward to talking to you again. Peace. Samir,
All right, we are good.
we